Music is incredible. It's God's gift to mankind. But when you get down to it, there's only 12 notes of music in the whole world. Beethoven dealt with the same 12 notes that Robert Johnson dealt with, same 12 notes that Charlie Daniels deals with, and we just all put them together in a different way.
I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and I sing the songs in the cowboy band.
These songs are story songs, so the kids that like those songs will like Legend of Willie Swamp and Devil Went Down to Georgia will like the story about the Cowboys and John Henry and Big John and all of these people.
I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and I play the fiddle in the cowboy band. Here I go.
The music on this makes no concession to anything. It's Charlie Daniels band music, and it sounds very much like us. And it's pretty strong. In fact, it's very strong musically.
He's an old cowhand.
I think the family is the greatest institution in this country. That's the basic glue that holds this country together. Children need parents, and without that family thing, with somebody loving them, somebody taking care of them, then they tend to go awry. And I would like to see the family be put up as something to be cherished and something to be idolized. Families should be the goal of everybody in this country, to preserve the families, whether you want a family of your own or not. There's a couple of things in here about parents caring about their children and about the way they feel about their children. So yes, it's in this album. You ready?
We're ready.
Okay, Charlie, what time are you ready? In the days before radio and television, people had to entertain themselves. They'd sit on the front porch or gather around the piano in the parlor and sing songs that everyone knew. But for the men who made their living in the great outdoors, it was a campfire. Whether it was a cattle drive, a mining camp, or a railroad gang, the hours between supper time and bedtime were spent in a circle around the fire. There'd always be a guitar or two, and maybe a harmonica or a fiddle, and they'd while away the lonely hours listening to the storytellers spin their yarns and singing songs about the lives they lived and the things they'd done. Now, the cowboy was always a little different from everybody else. He had his own way of looking at things.
Oh, come along, boys, and listen to my tale. Tell you about my troubles on the old Chisholm Trail. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
The theme of the album is family, is something that Grandma and Granddad, Mom and Dad, and the kids can all sit down and enjoy at the same time, as opposed to the kids in one room and Mom and Dad in the other room listening to different things.
We left old Texas October 23rd.
A lot of this album has to do with cowboys and hardworking men, miners and railroad people and that sort of thing. And we kind of make heroes out of them, which they are heroes. Working people are heroes in my mind.
Sometimes things got real tough out on the old Chisholm Trail.
I think cowboys are unique unto themselves. I don't think there is any other part of our society that compares to cowboys. They're kind of a breed set apart.
If it's a job, do it. Put your back into it. Cause a little bit of dirt's gonna wash off in the rain. If it's a horse, ride it. If it hurts, hide it. Dust yourself off and get back on again. That's cowboy logic.
If something is cowboy logic, it's like, that's what's logical to a cowboy. Usually just common sense. You know, I myself like all kinds of music. I can find something that I like in almost everything that I listen to. And I would say to people, not just this music, not just this album that we're talking about, but to all music, is when you sit down and listen to music, sit down with some openness. I know parents sometimes say, I can't listen to that stuff my kid listens to.
Might be surprised sometime if you'd sit down and listen to some of the music you're listening to. Might be more to it than what you would think. And the same way with kids, is I can't listen to that old stuff my parents listened to. Sit down sometime and listen to it. You might be surprised.
'Cause the trail goes on forever, and the days keep mighty long.
I've got a lot of music in me that people haven't heard. I've never actually had a chance to do the more aesthetic things that I wanted to get into doing until recently. And I've always wanted to do a family album.
Come a tie, yippee, 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 come a tie, yippee, yippee, a tie, yippee, yippee.
I've been 3
A lot of the kids that went up the Chisholm Trail with the cattle were very young. They were young boys. They were teens, early 20s. And 3 or 4 months with doing nothing but just driving cattle and seeing nothing but sagebrush and cactus and cattle was a long time for these young men. And when they would get to Abilene, they'd be ready to get the cattle on the trains and get paid off and blow off some steam, go dancing and having a good time. And that's what the song's about.
Saturday night in Abilene. Saturday night in Abilene.
Denmark had the Vikings. England had King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. We got the cowboys. There's something very American about cowboys. I don't think you get any more American than what cowboys are, what they stand for, what they are, and the work that they do. It's very uniquely American. I think the big thing about cowboys, what makes cowboys so interesting and makes them maintain their interesting ways, is the independence that they have. Till this day, cowboys that are working cowboys can quit anytime they want to, and there's no hard feelings with anybody, and they can go work for another ranch for a while and come back to the same ranch again. There's no strings attached to these guys. They go where they want to, when they want to. Some of them live a pretty nomadic life. They really put their time and effort into it, and they give an honest day's work for a day's pay. And no matter how long that day may be, it may be 15 hours, it may be sun up to sundown every day for a long time. It's hard work. It's not nearly as romantic as it looks like it is in the movies. I've done it. I've gone out and spent time on ranches with some of the cowboys, and it's grinding, bone grinding work. If you got a fire in your belly, if you want to do more, then you're going to have to put out more. And you're going to have to put in the hours that it takes and the thought that it takes and make the sacrifices that it takes to achieve what you want to get achieved. Success is pyramid shaped. It's like this. There's all kinds of room at the bottom, but as you move closer to the top, there's room for only one. And how high up in that pyramid do you want to go? Every time you take a step up in the pyramid, you've got to desire it more than the level of people that you pass by. So how bad do you want it? Are you happy here? If you're happy here, fine. But if you got to reach your level in the pyramid to make yourself happy. If it's mid-level, if it's upper level, if it's lower level, whatever it happens to be. And there's a price to be paid for that, and there's sacrifices to be made for doing that. I'm away from home 5 or 6 weeks at a time sometime. That don't suit some people. It suits me fine. I'm acclimated to it. I like it. But I couldn't stay at home and accomplish what we've accomplished and what we're trying to accomplish now. I couldn't stay at home all the time and do it. I have no choice. I listened to basically country music in my early years because that's what my family listened to. But as I got into my teens, I started hearing pop music. And when you're born in the South, especially at the time I came along, you're always exposed to the blues. It's all around you. You always hear the blues. You always know they exist. And at the time I came along, radio stations were not formatted to play one kind of music. They played all kinds of music. And then, of course, it moved into rock and roll and all of the, which has become a very ambiguous word anymore. But I listened to all kinds of music, and I developed a taste for all kinds of music. My favorite part of being in the music business is live performances. Without that, the rest would not be nearly as interesting to me. I love writing songs. I love recording. I love all aspects of the music business, but the live performing is the highest plum on the tree.